Hi, I'm Susan Moffat, and before I started, I wanted to say, since South by Southwest has been thrown around so much this morning, I'm married to it. My husband started that organization on a shoestring with 3 other guys in a room that was about 3 people in on the dais, nasty orange shag carpeting, no windows. We did not get a $4 million handout up front from the city or $25 million from the state. We have brought all of the fabulous economic benefits that people were discussing this morning. And so I said to my husband on my way down here, since you guys are in the business of handing out money apparently after the fact, that he should quickly, while you're still feeling generous, apply for the $4 million sanction fee for South by Southwest, and perhaps we can make it retroactive for the 25 years we as a local business have contributed to this community. But I'm not bitter. Okay. I am also a former legislative researcher, and I am the parent of a teenage boy, so I am used to smelly things, and this is smelly. Our question here is not whether this is going to bring economic benefits to the community or whether you like cars or you don't like cars. The question is whether this is a good financial risk for our public dollars. These are our tax dollars. The governing law for the Major Events Trust Fund requires that our funds be mingled with the state and that the payment to F1 must come proportionally from each fund contributor. So under the statute, about $3.4 million of our $4 million payment has to go straight to F1. Now, you might be able to be okay with this if we could get that $4 million back, but you've got to understand that there is no statutory guarantee of reimbursement for the city. To possibly get the full million, you would have to put $4 million of allowable expenses written into this contract that we haven't even negotiated, that's due in 2 weeks. And if you get that far, the comptroller still isn't required to reimburse you. In fact, the statute specifically states that it does not guarantee any obligation imposed on the city related to this event. And I assume you all know that if you try to sue the state, you first have to get an act of the legislature. I used to write them. Very few get approved. But they love us up there, right? So no problem. So let's say there is still some money left over in the fund after the LOC puts in for all its expenses, which we heard they were going to do. So we've already got less than $4 million left in the pot, and it's mingled. Anything that we get that's left in there, we can only be remitted to at the rate of 13.8% because it's contingent on the proportion of your initial give. So let's say by some miracle the LOC didn't put in for any expenses, F1 didn't make a side deal with the state to say, hey, we actually want this to keep pace with the ever-increasing sanction fee. The most you could get back, if there was still $4 million in the pot, would be $550,000. I have many other statutory concerns. If anyone has any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Councilmember Cole?
Thank you. What is your next major statutory concern?
The economic impact study required by state law will be prepared by the local organizing committee, which are the same people asking for the money, and that's not even done yet. The state comptroller, and you've heard this, who holds all the authority in this deal, didn't even do her own economic impact study before making this promise to F1. In fact, the representative from the comptroller's office said we just chose $4 million from the city because that's what would get us to the $25 million figure at the state. The city staff still doesn't know how much it's going to cost us to host the event, and the $4 million that the promoters are now saying they will fund will not be reimbursable to the city. It will only be reimbursable to F1. The performance bond they're talking about doesn't cover the city for expenses either. So it's a mess. It's our local tax money. Oh, and to correct one piece of misinformation, the fund money can be used for other purposes if our legislature makes that decision. This was not delivered on tablets from God. This is in the fund because the ledge made those decisions. It can be undone by the same act. So that money is our tax money, city and local, and we should have a say in how we're using it. And I do not think the city council should collude with Rick Perry to give a $250 million giveaway at a time when we are slashing basic services statewide, including our teachers and our schools right here in Austin. Those are my concerns.
Thank you, Ms. Moffat.